Stay tuned for today's Antidote, brought to you by the Renegade Success Network. Today's Antidote features a healthy dose of thought-provoking insights and information for business owners, entrepreneurs, leaders, and nonprofit professionals. Each day since March of 2020, this program has offered that one thing to help you continue on your own unique pathway to success. And now, Renegades, we bring you Bob Graham and Tom Brush.
Hey, Tom.
Good morning, Bob. How are you?
I'm good. I'm loving my back porch today. I'm looking out and watching the snow fall. It's so distracting. I'm barely able to do my work.
Well, we need you to focus for about 20 minutes, if that's okay.
That would be something new for me, but I'll give it a shot. Maybe that's what's been missing from our program.
Could be. Well, if you're just joining us, I'm Tom Brush, and this is Bob Graham, and this is today's Antidote, our Facebook Live, YouTube streams, daily show, where we try to help leaders, business owners, entrepreneurs, people who are just trying to figure out how to take their next step. They might even consider themselves a renegade, because we know that every day there are challenges that we face, and if we can just figure out that one thing to help us move forward, that will keep us going along our path. And what we provide today may help you today, and it might not help you until next week or next year or the year after that. And so we consider that if you have a different one thing that you'd like to share based on the conversation that we have, we hope you will post it in the comments, whether if you're watching live and we might share it and discuss it, or if you are watching the recording, just share it and people will comment on it in the different areas. So this week we are talking about results, Bob. And today we're talking about what's real about our results. And I think that based on our conversation first thing yesterday morning, do you have some thoughts you want to share about what's real about some results you had?
Well, I'm very results oriented. I'm trying more and more to get free of that. But okay. I am someone who's very concrete sequential. I'm someone who believes that there's a cause and an effect. If you do something, it leads to something. What I'm starting to understand as I get a little older and more mature and maybe even a little wiser is that I have less control over results than I think. So I can do what I believe to be correct or what is best or however you want to describe it. And I can't really control how people react to it. So it's funny. I taught college courses for a number of years. One of the challenges to college courses is your students evaluate you. And at most schools these days, which is great, they actually pay attention to those evaluations. What's interesting is I could do very little to control those results. When I was teaching engineering students, they saw no value in communication skills, no value in resume writing, no value in any of the things that I was trying to do with them at the moment because it didn't matter to them. They were used to very, very goal-oriented courses. Learn this theory, apply this theory, get an A. And mine was, they would say to me, what's the first paragraph supposed to look like? How many words? How many letters in the first word? Should "the" be the first word? And what should be the last word? And it's like, you can't break a sentence down that way. And I'd say to them, it works if it works. That was not the result that they were looking. That was not the answer because that meant they couldn't control results. They wanted to experiment. If you tell me, because it's funny, I told one class one time, the first sentence should have 31 words. Just picked a number out of the sky. You wouldn't believe how many students turned in papers with 31-word first sentences. They weren't good, they weren't bad, it was just they wanted concrete. And I think I'm someone who understands that. What I've come to realize about being an entrepreneur is there are very few concretes. How could there be any concretes? Because you, Tom, I, and everyone else who's building something is building it uniquely our own way. It's never been done the same way before. You have your knowledge, experience, perspective, and you apply that. And that's how you create what you do for nonprofits. I can't do that your way. I'll never be able to do it that way. Nor can we know if I tried to do the same thing, I might do it differently. I might try to model it after you a bit, but the results might be different. And neither of us can control them. Because if you get in front of Group A and they love you, and then I get in front of Group A and they go, boy, he's a buffoon. How did we control it? I bet if we said the same thing, if you and I each gave a presentation to the same audience, 3 days apart, some of them would like you, some would like me. Oh, I really like Tom. He's so laid back. He's so mellow. I just feel so comfortable around. Wow, Bob's like totally frenetic. I mean, he's like out of control. I don't like that. Other people would be like, oh, I love Bob. He's just so passionate. Tom's so mellow. We can't control those results. And the more we try, the more it gets in our way of any kind of progress.
So do you think you're still a results-oriented person? What does that even mean?
I think it means that I look for, at the end of the day, what did I achieve? You know, it's a scoreboard. Did I accomplish something today? Did I get a great comment from someone I coached? Did I get the newsletter written? Did I do a good job on this broadcast this morning? I'm usually evaluating those results. I'm using the metric, and more what I'm realizing is it doesn't matter. If I'm focused on doing what I need to do to feel soul satisfied at the end of the day, I don't care what the results are. That's what I'm trying to get to. I don't always get there, and you know really well because I'm constantly on you about we need results. I admit that. And you go, no, we'll get there, we're doing the right thing. Yeah, we have that friction. That's probably a big part of why our partnership works well.
Well, and I think it's interesting. Sometimes our results also actions. So like one of the things you said was, did I get the Renegade Way written? Is that a result or is that an action? So are you an action-oriented person because you took the action, or are you results because you completed it? Or
well, did I complete it well? Is
Okay.
it going to achieve the goals that we're trying to achieve?
And how do we know that?
We have no way. And as you and I have learned in the last 48 hours, we even have less of a way to know because some of the data that we've been tracking, we realize is flawed.
Well, it's just data.
But still, we know it's not yielding what we thought it was telling us.
Okay. So I guess that goes back to is when, you know,
it's Tuesday coaching day every week. It's amazing.
Well, you brought up results oriented, and I got thinking about that as like goals oriented, action oriented, like what drives us. And if you're a results oriented person, and I'm not downplaying the importance of results. I think results provide a lot of information. And that's, you know, as we're talking about what's real, I think that's what's real. Results to me doesn't say it's right or wrong, or just says this is what we got. Because you know, the subset of people, even the subset of people that you were talking about, if we were speaking in front of them, unless we were doing it simultaneously to the same group at this, you know, which is impossible, they're all going to be feeling different. You know, even if you did it an hour after I did, they might have gone up and checked their text messages and got a message from somebody they forgot to do something, and now they're all pissed off and upset and worried, and so their whole mindset has changed, and so they may not react the same. And I think that's, to me, the challenge is that we want to focus on what are our results. We want them to be, everybody wants them to be right. And you know how I feel about that. And
well, is it we want them to be right, Tom, or is it we want them to be consistent with what we expected? I don't care if it's right or wrong, but I certainly want, if I expect, you know, we send an email out and I expect 300 people to open it based on the last 3 months, you know, whatever. just using a random number. If only 200 open it, I feel like I've failed. If 400 open it, I feel like I'm a success.
If 301 opened it, how would you feel?
Average.
So
now, where
if you're
it breaks down, though, is if only 200 people open it, and one of those 200 people makes a quantum leap in how they see the world because of the words I wrote in that newsletter, that's a huge success. That is a great result. That is a life-changing result that I would love. The problem is I don't have a way to know that result. And that's what frustrates me.
Because you're worried about that result, right? It only seems like it's a success if you feel like either the number of people opened it that you thought or a few people were impacted by it.
Right. And we can't track the latter.
Yeah. And it goes a little back to if we just put out there what we think is real, we never know how it's going to impact people. Yeah, even if you say, okay, they all opened it. All right, well, they opened it. Well, what does that mean? Did it do anything? Did it have any impact? Is it good that they opened it? Yeah, I guess. They at least saw it. Maybe none of them read it. They just scrolled down through and they saw, oh, yeah, let me just click that. I'm going to go, I'll keep going. So I think we get caught up in the results and rather than we took an action that we believed would have an impact that was real for us. We shared something. Somebody else in their business, they put out an advertisement. They made a phone call. They did something that they thought it was real for where they were at, what they were thinking, and where they believed their audience to be. They might even have good information that this is what the audience is interested in. What's real about the results is we don't have a whole lot of control over them.
How about some comments, Tom?
I was just thinking that.
I thought you were. John says, good morning. Nice, all nice hoodie. Nice hoodie, Bob Graham. I like that. Yes, I've got a hoodie on because I've got to go out and do some shoveling when we finish. And I just didn't feel like putting on a nice dress shirt. And oh, well, get over it, I guess. Tim says doing the same thing over and over does not always produce the same results. Chaos theory suggests you can never do the same thing twice, which is why results will always vary. Oh, I don't even want to start down chaos theory. Well, that's a rabbit hole that I go down about twice a year. And that and string theory are the two theories that I just can't put my brain around.
Well, I'll just briefly comment on it so you don't go down the rabbit hole. He's right. You can't do the same thing over and over and over again. Once you do it once, you've done it. So at least now something about your knowledge, experience, or perspective has changed, even just a tiny bit. Once you've done it once, you've had the experience of doing it. And now every time after, you at least know, well, I did it once. I got a result and I can determine, okay, from whatever that result was, even if I took one step, if I take a step, my foot landed, I didn't twist my ankle, I didn't slip and fall. Well, now I know that if I walk this way, I can take another step. Doesn't mean the results are gonna be the same. It just means that I know that I have done it.
Right. That makes sense. I like that. Yeah, I like that a lot. Michael says, results are nice, but what do you think about hearing the different options to find the result? A result might change to open your mind. What do you think, Tom?
I'm trying to process that. Results are nice, but what do you think about hearing the different options to find results?
So I'm going to interpret this, which always puts me at a potential disadvantage. But I think what he's saying is if you look at the options with the results in mind. So if I order a big meal for dinner late on a Friday night, I'm going to feel bloated. I'm going to have trouble sleeping. If I eat something smaller, I'm not going to feel that way. And I've got to get up Saturday morning and run a half marathon. I think what he's saying is, we can factor in the potential outcomes of our decisions up front. But what I would say to that, just thinking it through as I said it, we don't always know what the outcomes could be.
Correct. You could eat that small meal and there might be something in it, and now your stomach is off and you're no better off. And maybe the bigger meal it's better for you. And, and I think he might also be thinking about exploring all the potential options to reach the result. So if we're saying, all right, well, my goal is to have I know my goal is the results I want is to feel good in the morning because I got to run a mile, a marathon. And so based on that, what are my options to consider? Well, I could eat pasta because I need it. And that might sit heavy in my stomach. I could have a salad. That might not give me enough energy. I think we all do that. And we all sort of do it based on our knowledge, experience, and perspective. So if I've run before, when I go to the gym, I kind of know what have I eaten before I go to the gym and how do I feel typically when I go there. And so sometimes we do what we think what we expect to get the results, and the results aren't the same because I might be doing different workout, which changes the way my body, all those things play into it. And I think that the benefit of at least having done it is we have some idea of what the potential results might be. Doesn't mean that's what they're going to be. Just means that they could be like that based on a previous experience. And so I think, whether you're weighing the options at the front or weighing the options of what the results you're trying to get, I think we all try to do that. And I think it's helpful, and yet never guarantees what our results are going to look like.
Let me give us another comment, Tom. This is from John.
I forgot about that.
Speaking of rabbit holes, Puxatani Phil saw his shadow, and we will have 6 more weeks of winter. So this Phil, what is he?
He's a groundhog.
Groundhog, yeah.
So it's not we're not going down a rabbit hole. We're going down a groundhog hole.
But think about it. He sees his shadow, which is a function of the weather. Can't see the shadow. You would not see your shadow here in Baltimore today.
Correct.
I was outside. There's no shadow to be seen. It's cloudy. It's gray. We, for whatever reason, think that Phil seeing his shadow, and by the way, he's probably the 7th Phil they've had, if not the 20th Phil, comes out of his little hole, sees or doesn't see a shadow, and we assume that based on that experience, the result is either 6 weeks more of winter or not. Talk about, I didn't even think about it till right now, talk about the perfect embodiment of what we're trying to get across. That how can Phil know that? How can he be tied to a result? Because statistically, we see this each year, we get this result from Phil, and 2 weeks later, it's like we got the worst snowstorm of the year, and he said we weren't going to have more winter, or vice versa. What do you think about that?
He said winter might. Well, there's a lot. I mean, I did forget there's Groundhog Day, which was actually good. And 2, have you ever watched them do that?
Only on the movie.
They pull Phil out of the ground. He looks around, I guess. They hold him up to this guy, and he speaks into this guy's ear. So is the guy telling the truth, or is he just saying what he wants to say because he wants there to be 6 more weeks? Or he checked the Farmer's Almanac, and the Farmer's Almanac said, yeah, it's going to be a long winter. So Phil, I don't know what you're saying. It's nice that you chose to play along. So I think that, well, and how does that then drive how everybody feels, right? If you hear, there's going to be 6 more weeks of winter, based on nothing but a groundhog getting out of the ground, being pulled out of his hibernation, he's like, why am I out of this? To say to somebody who I guess can speak groundhog.
You can't?
No. Well, I don't believe so. I've never tried. And Michael just put in something interesting, because you think about, if you ever watch the movie Groundhog Day.
Yes.
Even as hard as Bill Murray tried, if you haven't seen it, Bill Murray relives Groundhog Day over and over again because he just hates the stupidness of it. And he's a reporter, and he's like, why am I being sent out to cover this silly story? he ends up repeating the day over and over and over and over and over again. And as much as he knows sort of what's going to happen, he can't always control all of the results. Like, he can control it up until he knows, like, okay, well, this car is going to drive through a puddle and it's going to splash all over me or splash all over some other guy. And he finally decides at some point to be a good guy, to go over and tell the guy, like, hey, get out of the way. But after that, he can't control it until he's experienced it.
What ultimately causes him to change?
His knowledge, experience, and perspective. He starts to
I think it's deeper.
Deeper.
He follows his heart.
Isn't that part of your perspective or your knowledge, experience?
When he finally admits his feelings, that's when he changes. I've seen the movie a number of times, and I love a good romantic comedy. And even though it's not the stereotypical one, it does fit the criteria. He's got to realize that it's okay to have love in his life. It's the same for us with our business. We've got to realize that what we are passionate about is okay. Once we agree that that passion is okay, good things will start to happen. You'll start finding the person and people that can help you. I've seen it in my business. You've seen it in your business. We've dealt with lots of people, you and me together and separately, where we've actually seen suddenly the light bulb goes off for them and they're just like, I'm going to do this because this is what I'm passionate about.
Correct. And on the other side, it's become what's real for them. So I see Tim has put in as part of your empathy. And for those of you who don't, I think that's Tim. For those of you who don't follow us as closely, Tim believes that empathy is on the left-hand side of my knowledge, experience, and perspective equation. So yes, at some point, based on all of those, he realizes that he wants to follow his heart. That's what's now real for him. And so his actions after that change because of what he has gone through. I mean, he goes through a lot of things of like trying to just ruin the day, the town. He takes the groundhog and drives him off a cliff with a truck. Still wakes up the next day. So, I think that it's just an example of, as much as we try to control results, we can't always control all of them. We might be able to believe and expect that this is what's going to happen, and sometimes it does, and sometimes it doesn't. Because while we can't relive the same day over and over and over again, we can take similar actions. Yeah, the difference is he relived the exact same scenario all over the place. Now, he had a little bit of different information. We don't do that, right?
Right.
Everybody with us is changing or is being influenced as every day goes by. For those people, they all went back to exactly where they were the morning before with no knowledge of what they had gone through that day. So what was real for them actually went back to where they were at the start. We can't do that. Once we do something, it impacts others, influences others. So they are forever changed. And at the same time, they're having other influences, so they're continuing to be changed. So when they come back to, this is why our example about speaking, when they come back to hear me speak the second day, they are different, some in a very tiny way, others in a much larger way than where they were at the day before when they heard you speak, because things have influenced them between that time, let alone your speech.
I want to get a couple more comments in. John says, this is a function, he means the Puxatawny Phil. This is a function of watching the morning news. You have to wonder why a bunch of bearded guys with top hats do this every year. Can't argue that at all. That might be the wisest thing said in a long time on this program, Tom. Michael says, sometimes we wish we could tweak the path and do over. Smile. Yes, and I'm not sure who said this, Tom. I'm trying to find out. Kelly says, good morning, Tom, and we must stand together to make a difference. So what you're saying is resonating with her. So before we close this out, Tom, what's that one thing you got for us today?
So my one thing is, I'm going to go back to Michael's last quote. Sometimes we wish we could tweak the path to do over again. And I'm going to say that we wouldn't be where we were without the path. What's real is that's all a part of what was real for us. And if we tweak the path just like Bill Murray in the Groundhog Day, if we tweak the path, other things change. It has other influence. So even if we went back and tweaked it, it might not be what we think it is going to be. So that the results that we get are just real. And they're real based on everything that we have done. And if we change anything about all of that experience, knowledge, or perspective, who's to say we're still going to get the results that we're now getting or that we think we are going to get?
I love it. That's great, Tom. And you're going to have to do some interpreting for us. This comes from Liz. Can you tell us what that means?
I think love the snow, I believe.
Well, there's a groundhog in between. Love the groundhog in the snow?
I think, well, she's an animal fan, so I think that she would think that Phil is cute, and she likes some traditions, and so that's a tradition. You know, people all get together and have a big celebration, and they have a grand old time. So, and
I learned something this morning that emojis will actually show up here. I did not even think that possible until we tried it. So there's new information for me today.
That has influenced what's real for you.
Yes, exactly.
Which makes me a little nervous about what the upcoming results might be.
I can't argue that at all. Tom, you want to wrap this puppy up?
Sure, certainly. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. I hope that you enjoyed our discussion about results, what's real, Groundhog Day, Bill Murray.
all the essentials.
I'm not sure it's funny as you look at it. I think there's a lot about business and our work lives, professional lives in there. Absolutely. That if we think about, I could go back and say, you know what? I wish I could go back and change this about something in my work past. It would make me a very different person today, and I would probably be in a different position. Not that it would be better, worse, right, wrong, just would be what was real at the time. So if you're enjoying these conversations, please join us in the Ring of Renegades Facebook group where we talk about this all the time. We have these discussions. We dive deeper into these topics. It's a great opportunity to connect with other people, other like-minded people who think they're renegades or believe they're renegades or are renegades. They are renegades. And you can join us. It's a closed private Facebook group. So just go to Facebook, search for Ring of Renegades while it is closed, because we create a space for our community to grow. All you have to do is ask to join and tell us why you're a renegade. And then you too can become part of our growing community of renegades trying to take their next step along their own unique pathway to success. So we hope to see you inside the Ring of Renegades Facebook group if you're not already a member, or if you are a member. And if not, we'll be back here tomorrow. Hopefully it's not Groundhog's Day and we have to repeat this all over again.
That'd be fun.
We'll be back. What will we do differently? We'll be back tomorrow morning, 8 a.m. Eastern time, for the next edition of today's Antidote. Hey, and if you're struggling with your results, trying to figure out, not worry about what's right and figure out about what's real, you can join us in our Renegade Success Network, which is an opportunity to expand and go deeper into a lot of things that we talk about and identify what is real for you and figure out when you're stuck, how to take that next step. So here's a little information about this. Have a great day, everyone, and we will see you soon. Are you struggling to make your vision a reality? Are you stuck and don't know what to do next? Are fear and doubt holding you back? The Renegade Success Network will help you determine the next steps on your pathway. Here is some of what you will get. Create your pathway call to start you on a better path. Unlimited laser solution sessions to keep you from getting stuck. Nurture your network events to build your network with other successful leaders. Monthly Renegade challenges to prepare you for what lies ahead. The Renegade Success Vault, giving you access to videos, tools, and tips on specific topics anytime you need them. And the Renegade Success Network community, an exclusive Facebook group of like-minded renegades, all working towards achieving their goals.
You have a choice. Do it yourself and fumble forward slowly and alone. Or join the Renegade Success Network and be part of a community built to help you find your own pathway. Join today at renegadesuccessnetwork.com. Act now and jumpstart your journey on your own pathway to success.